We're going to be painting the teasel head today. And the teasel head is now wild plant that grows in our prairies, pastures, and fields. And at this time of year, fall, they begin to turn brownish, and they've lost all of their leaves. The leaves are curled up and their blossoms have fallen down. Okay, I have a prepared ink, and I'm using one brush, and that's my mini flow brush. Okay. And some shun paper from OAS, and my mini flow brush from OAS as well. This is the example of the teasel. This is a dried floral example. From what I understand, people use this to embed into acrylic. Okay. Now, this is what it looks like at this time of year, fall. And here's what it would look like in the spring. This is also dried. These are the real plants. Okay. And here's my rendition of the teasel. Notice where the leaves come out. Okay, and in the background, I have lightly painted in some rice. Okay. So I've wet my brush, I've dried my brush, and I have some paper towels here if I need it. And I'm going to look at my painting so that I can guide it and make sure it's similar. So I have, I'm getting dark ink onto my brush, and that means that I would take out any extra wetness from it, from the head here. I want lots and lots of color to come onto it. Because unlike Jane Dwight, who has an example of how to paint teasel heads in her book, the Chinese Painting Bible, I'm going to do the spiky parts first. And so I'll need a dryish brush, and then filled with black ink. And here, I'm going to take off any extra water. And it's kind of shaped like the head itself is kind of shaped like a long gumdrop. Okay. And I'm just going to take my fingernail and pull a few shapes there. So my brush is going to be straight up and down. And the center of my teasel head here, the spikes look shorter, just because that's the way our eyes tease us. So I'm going to do these more straight, going towards the top of the paper. And I'm pressing a little bit as I do this so that my strokes will be some thicker parts and some thinner. And then I'm going to move out and curve this a little bit. And notice where I have my hand right close to the handle, because then I have more control. Go back in, get a little bit more. This is a small brush, so it doesn't hold a whole lot of color in it. So when we get to the edges of our teasel head here, they're going to be longer appearing than when they're in the center. I'm going to watch that shape. If the shape isn't like I want it to be, I'm going to change it, because this is now when I still have the opportunity to change it. I'm going to have some little ends there so it doesn't look so organized, because nature isn't that organized. Okay, and then these leaves are what protect the teasel when it is growing up, and that's even darker than the head. So I'm going to make sure I have lots of color here and point my brush and come to the center where the stem would meet, and that's where everything's going to emanate. And press, turn and pull, and I want to make it look interesting looking. I'm going to give each one of these calyx parts their own personality. And try not to be too symmetrical. Okay. And going to dip my brush into a little bit of water just to the tip, come back onto my dish, and I'll get a nice little gray color here for the stem. And come back to where the head meets the stem. I'm going to press down, make a little bone stroke, take a deep breath, and let my breath out so I can do that stem. Okay. And attach some dried leaves to my stem. You can see here on my example, I have a few little leaves there. I may elongate them and make them look a little bit more graceful, like, and look like my painting here, painting example, right? And this is a dry stroke, and I like to keep that, so I'm going to respect it and not step into it too much. I'm going to come to the edge of it, press, turn, and make it look similar to the calyx, but it'll be more rounded. Come a little bit above, press, turn. You know, there are little spikes on some of the teasel heads. I don't see any on this one, but if you'd like, you can just make little like check marks, light check marks to give it a little bit more texture. And I would do that maybe just on one side. There, okay. And we can do another one. I would put my other one, another one maybe right there, and a third one there. And I can create a composition. But I think what I'll do instead of doing the composition of the teasel head, now that you have what you need to know, everything about it, I'm going to paint wheat for you. So let me reload my brush and do some wheat. Okay, so here's the example of the wheat, okay? And I'll show you how to do these, what they call ear of wheat. The leaves are very similar, so I don't think we have to demo that part. And then this is an example of rice. And again, the leaves are very similar in the rice to the teasel head. It's just they're more like a sword shape. They don't bend as easily as the teasel heads. Okay. So so this is a weed taken from my yard, and it looks very similar to what the rice would look like. You see that, yeah. And the wheat is similar. It's just got more substance to it. It's got more volume. And here's what the leaves would look like too. Okay. So I got my brush ready, and then I'm using one brush again. I'm just using my mini flow for demo, and I've got it loaded with like a medium color. And that's what they look like. So according to Team Makami and then Yamada, we that's the ear, and we do little stamp strokes similar to the chrysanthemum. And so we come in like this. Get one row going from on the left from out to in, and then same thing from the right from out to in. And then to show the volume, we can have a little bit on the inside too, and maybe come to a little bit of a point there. Okay. And then they have nice, what I'll call tendrils. And I promised you I was going to do this with just one brush. So I'm going to take out some of the moisture in my brush and make sure that I have a nice pointed brush when I make those little tendrils. And I'll come into about a third of the way up my wheat ear, and I'm going to pull like this. Okay, and again, the stem is like that of the Teasel, press and pull. And then the leaves get attached side to side. And they can go into the ground. Right here. Okay, so that's the wheat and the rice. Remember, all of these, when the fields are have a little breeze, they're going to bend. So this is the rice. I'm going to do this stroke. This is similar to the first leaf of the orchid, the spring gentleman, only we're going to just put equal pressure, and then when we come out here, we're going to do the grains. I'll give myself some room here on my paper. And notice how I'm using an upright brush. Notice how my fingers are. Okay. And take a deep breath. And get that nice stroke there like that. Okay. And then create the grains. Just little marks. Okay. And you can do another one here. Crossing over. And they can tend to be wider here so that we could make this better. Almost like a waterfall effect. Okay. And that's the 3 plants in autumn. So add some butterflies, some bees, a little mouse, alley cat, or what do they call that? A feral cat. And thank you for watching.